and welcome to tonight's show, Circle of Connection. Tonight on the show we've got Francesca, Maria and Bettina. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. Starting with Francesca.
Hello, I'm Francesca. I'm Italian and I came to Liverpool 10 years ago from Milan, where I had been living for 10 years. I run my own business called Underwing, and I help people who have a business idea make it become a business, specializing in female founders and special needs entrepreneurs.
Fabulous. Maria?
Hi, I'm Maria Hadjisadiriou. My background is science, so I trained as a chemist and I've worked in industry most of my life. And yeah, that's me really in a nutshell.
Thank you, Maria. Bettina?
Hi, my name is Bettina and I'm from Hungary. I work in project management at the moment and I moved to England 8 years ago.
Fabulous. So tonight we're going to discuss the topic of comfort zone. So obviously we know stepping out the comfort zone is not easy, but there are tools and little tricks that we can use to combat that. And what I want to talk specifically to you guys about tonight is the fact that, Francesca, you've come from Italy all the way up to the UK, kind of. What does that story go like? Did you know people beforehand, or?
Right, my best friend was doing a PhD in Liverpool, and I used to, because I worked as a contractor, I worked as a tour leader in events and trips, so I could work 3 months and then take a month off and come here and visit her, and I loved Liverpool. And here I met the man I then married. We lived in Italy for a bit, but he was absolutely miserable, poor guy. And then he got offered a job here, and I just thought, you know what, I know the language, I can work wherever you put me, and we moved.
I love that. So as far as the whole comfort zone stuff came, what was it like a big fast step out of the comfort zone?
I loved Liverpool. I knew where I was coming. I didn't know anyone here, but it was just, I loved the place, and I just thought it's an opportunity for a new life. I was happy in Milan, don't get me wrong, my sisters and my mum were there and my friends, etc. And I had to leave all my friends and things, but it's a new opportunity, and I tend to jump into new opportunities, sometimes without thinking.
So it wasn't so much the comfort zone and the familiarity of where you were holding you back, you didn't even put any focus onto that?
You do think about it, but I think the options here were more, and I was happy, and I was following a man I loved, so I just thought, we try, and if it doesn't work, we can still come back. I mean, Italy's still going to be there, isn't it?
That's true. So it's like, it might be
fantastic,
fantastic, it might go wrong, but you know what, everything's still here, even if it doesn't work, for me to come back to.
And when you get here, there are challenges, isn't it? Finding a new job, finding new friends, settling in, and but there's still challenges there, isn't it? So
yeah, definitely. So, but it's worth it in the end because now.
Oh yes, it is. What I've done here, creating my own business and doing what I do, I couldn't have done there. Yeah. So, definitely yes.
So tell us your story, Bettina, because obviously you came from. Where did you come from?
So I came from Budapest when I moved, but originally I'm just from the northeastern of Hungary.
Yeah. And how did it go in your mind, the decision to come over to the UK?
So I think for me it came quite sudden because I just felt like that my whole life turned upside down at that time, and it started basically with breaking up with my boyfriend, and then it was in the middle of a recession in Hungary, so it was 2012, middle of a financial crisis, and then I lost all of my savings, and then I lost my job as well due to recession, and I looked for a job for almost 5 months in Budapest, which is the capital city of Hungary, so you can imagine it was pretty bad. And To be fair, I got quite a lot of job interviews.
Yeah.
I went to job interviews almost every week, but I just felt like I was so fed up with all of the conditions that they were offering. Like when I finished university, my first job in an office was halfway in the black market as well, because they registered me at the government on minimum wage, and then I got the rest in hand. And it was so common in Hungary, and probably today as well, that I just felt like I either get a really good job now or I'm just out of here. So basically I didn't get that job offer that I was waiting for, although I got some, but I just felt like I would rather turn that down and just try my luck, and came to England. I researched the country. I used an agency at the beginning, and I think my mindset was very similar to Francesca's, because I was like, if it doesn't work out, I can always just go back. And since I came, I just started to build my life here, and I never thought of going back, really.
Yeah. So it's that big scary step can lead to something so fantastic, because now you obviously got a job, you've got lots of friends, you're settled. You would never even imagine that, you know, you have not been here for many years, because it seems to have come so naturally for you.
I think at the beginning I definitely looked at it as a temporary thing, and I thought that I would just save up and at some point I would go back. But when I was here, I just didn't see the point, because when I was here, I naturally started to build my life, and there are certainly more opportunities here in England than in Hungary, unfortunately. So, or maybe not, because I really enjoy myself here, and I feel like I really found myself. I found a really good hobby, something that I've never done before, lifting weights, going to the gym, and that was something that I never imagined doing before, because...
So very much worth it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, Maria, your industry previously, I can imagine, so I'll leave you to tell the stories and stuff, but I can imagine the comfort zone, you've stepped out of that quite a few times. First and foremost, how do you get yourself from sitting there and thinking, oh, I've got to take that step, it's scary, you know, it might go wrong, it might not, all this kind of stuff. How do you get yourself out of there, you know, how to get yourself to go forward?
I've never truly thought about it before. You just sort of fit into it and you go with the flow, because it's all I've ever known. Working in a very male-dominated environment and just dealing with what comes my way. And so for some women that may be out of their comfort zone. For me it was the norm. It wasn't until, I would say, the past year, because as a scientist I need to understand why I feel or why I behave in particular ways. And I started to do a lot of self-reflection and try to understand why I did the things I did, because I started to realise that I was becoming quite complacent, because when you sit in your comfort zone, stress is minimal, routines are established, and you minimise any risks. And I was there and I was thinking, there's something about this that is not making me happy. I'm not seeing growth, because I was there, and what growth is all about, I don't know, progress about movement, and movement is about getting yourself out there and making things happen. And I read a very interesting fact, that you sit in your comfort zone because your subconscious is demanding that you do that. And the reason why it does that is because your subconscious, even though it only weighs 2% of your total body weight, it actually takes up 20% of the blood flow and 25% of your glucose intake. So this thing is really busy. So unless you really push it to help it change, it's going to keep pushing you back into your comfort zone. And it wasn't until I was very fascinated by that fact, and I'm thinking, what am I doing to really push myself out of my comfort zone? And I found that in my early life, I set myself some goals which I thought I would achieve by the age of 65. And actually, it wasn't until last week that the realization of having achieved them in my mid-40s almost subconsciously made me stop, because there was nothing else to go out and fight for. I hadn't created another plan. I hadn't looked to push myself beyond the boundaries that I had established when I was a lot younger. And things move, and I, for whatever reason, chose not to move with them. And it's only now that I'm sort of trying to readdress that balance, and hopefully with your help as well, Marie.
And I'm very excited about the next, the next moves as far as that's concerned. So myself, as far as the comfort zone goes, I learned pretty early on that stepping out of it, doing something really scary, that gets the heart beating, that gets, all the crazy inner critic going mad in your head, after it, 9 out of 10 comes something pretty awesome. So I kind of got addicted to the fear, and because I know when I feel like this, once it's over, something fantastic comes from it. So it was that was the effect of that on me. I found myself striving to find the fear, something that scares me, because my brain made the connection pretty quickly that it's dead scary, but if we do this is what comes of it, something fantastic comes of it, and then there's another thing and another thing, and it seems to carry on like that. And then there was also the part where you read back and you find out that we're programmed to stay safe, which goes back and back so far back to times when it was, there were actual physical life and death threats out there, saber-toothed tigers and stuff. But that's not there right now. So when I'm going to take my risk, I don't have to worry about, those kinds of risks. As soon as I step out the door, I could be taken by a tiger or whatever. That's not the thing. If I step out my comfort zone, chances are, at most, me ego's going to be a bit bruised. But that's probably about the worst of it.
But it also, sometimes, doesn't it also depend on the type of person you are?
Yeah,
I think so. I sing, you put me on a stage, there is no fear, there is no nothing. First time I was on a stage, I was 3. And I stepped out and I sang whatever I had to sing, and I came back and I was fine. When I was 8, you put me in a room, in a party, in a birthday party, and that was terrifying for me. And I had to learn that stepping out of my comfort zone was learning to talk to people. But if you put me on a stage in front of 3,000, I'm fine.
It's different for everyone, isn't it? And it's mostly the fear of the unknown, I think. So if you take risks, and people say that first you always have to take small steps, and then you kind of familiarize yourself with those situations, and then you can go further and further. And once you extend your word like that, I think you never really go back.
No. I think from my side, just to sort of reinforce what you guys have said, I think for me, facing my fears has really made it visible to me how much I actually underestimate my capabilities and how I overestimate the potential for obstacles to be there. So, someone once explained to me that fear is future emotions assumed real. But we can never predict the future, yet we sabotage ourselves in the present before even trying. And I think the thing I would say is go out there, push the boundaries, and be surprised how amazing you are.
Absolutely. I think as well, your imagination is a wonderful tool, but it can also, the same mind that can absolutely empower you can also disempower you. So it depends on how you use it, and it depends on how familiar you are with your own mind, so self-awareness is key. The inner critic and all that kind of stuff, identifying your inner critic and what we talked about with Monty Sinclair. How essential is that? Because as soon as you can identify that inner critic is in the room, you can say, I'm about to feel rubbish, I'm about to feel scared because she's just arrived, the inner critic. And it's like, I'm acknowledging you, I know that you're in the room, but today you don't get to control me. I'm still going to take that step out of my comfort zone and, come what may.
I think the other thing that's actually really important and part of comfort zones, it comes down to some of the limiting beliefs that we develop as children.
Yeah.
So all our rules in life are established by the age of 7. They always say, give me the child at 7 and I'll give you the man or the woman, because the rules are already established. And I think sometimes when we face a fear, often we just allow ourselves to follow the path on the reaction that we've chosen to take year in, year out. So I always say when we do that, we actually live our past in our future, because nothing has changed. But I think when you are really going down that route, you are seeing yourself, stopping yourself from progressing. Actually ask yourself, what is the root cause of me behaving in that way? And go back, and if you can figure out what happened to you as a child. Actually, there's also, I do this a lot, I ask the child in me, why did you do what you, why did you do why you did? And a child's response to protecting itself against a dangerous situation is actually very different to how I would behave right now today with the woman that I am. But because my subconscious is driving the response and I've never stopped to think about it, I'm still behaving as the child. So I think take a breath, ask yourself the question, why am I doing what I'm doing? Figure it out and then change it. And then live your future for your future. Don't bring your past into your future.
I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really good.
Do you journal?
I don't journal as such, but I do a lot of, I write a lot. I've got an agenda and I've got like a little, it's a journal, but I just write thoughts and things as I go during the day, plans,
ideas.
And then I've got another one that is for my clients only, and then some sort of a log of the hours I spend every day and what do I spend the hours on. So all of that together gives you my life.
So you can kind of see what you're thinking and what you're, so that would go with what you're saying.
The thing is, I've recently done an exercise on going back and talking to my inner child for some like attitude towards money I had and I couldn't break. And this year I rebranded with my company and I really had to take a step because I had this inner critic thing saying no one has given you the qualification for doing what you've just done for the last 20 years. But I don't have a piece of paper to say I can do it. And I just said, but I am still gonna go out and I'm still gonna do it. And I had to go back to talk to my inner child to understand why it was so important what everyone was saying about the piece of paper, because rationally I knew I've done this for 20 years and I know how to do it and I can help the people. But there was this thing constantly telling me, you're gonna do it and you're gonna fail. And I really had to go back. And what I got was just like, well, you know you can do it, why don't you do it?
And you probably should have done it years ago.
Because
you've got the experience. You've got the passion. You know exactly what it looks like, you know exactly what it is you want to provide, but yet you will hold all your skills back and all your gifts and all what you've got to offer because somebody somewhere said that there needs to be qualifications and certificates and it needs to be on paper, when actually it's not the case. You just need to be able to do what you're doing, have passion in it, and actually be able to get the people who are coming to you from where they are to where they want to get to. If you know you can do that, block that stuff about.
But in this case, I had to kind of trick myself to get out of the comfort zone.
Any tips for anyone watching who's having that block right now?
I did it my way. I'm a very, I like planning and I like structure and I like rationality. So I looked at what I had already done. That is what I'm going to do with this rebranding and this, you know, where my business is going, and I looked at what I have done and I know how to do and the results I had, and I put them all down and I constructed some sort of case studies, and I thought, all right, this I can do, this I can do, this I can do, the only thing I have to learn is this, but it's only a fifth of what I actually have to do. So I went back, I learned what I had to learn, and then I felt I was ready,
Yeah.
which I wasn't. But then I stepped out, and once I was out, I was out.
Yeah.
And for how I am, once I'm out, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
It's taking that
Yeah.
step into the spotlight,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then that's it. Then you're there.
yeah.
I mean,
You're not going to go back.
Absolutely. We're only born with two fears. I know I'm coming out with these facts because
No,
these facts
I like
are
this.
absolutely
I know what you're gonna say.
astonish me. We are born with two fears. The fear of loud noises, because as a child you can't protect your ears and
Yeah.
they could get damaged, and the fear of falling down. So everything else we have acquired from those around us and from our own personal
Yeah.
experiences. So if we can create the environment that we've put ourselves in, we can actually uncreate it. So just remembering that fact, and I also, for myself, in a similar light to moving forward, I read, I don't know if any of you have heard of Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
So Wayne Dyer, he has 10 rules in life that you should live by.
Yeah.
I've actually adopted 5 because they're relevant to me.
I love it.
But one of them, it was around comfort zones, and it's be open to everything and attached to nothing. Because when you're attached to things, it creates a comfort. That creates a familiarity,
Yeah.
and then the fear seeps in when you have to let it go. But when you're open to everything, it's about saying yes. And far from breaking the law and doing something that maybe you're really unhappy about doing, say yes to everything. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. That's what got me on your course, because I could honestly say financially I wasn't in a position to make that decision, but I found a way to do it because I didn't want to get attached to the fear of, oh my God, how am I going to do it? I said, no, I need to move forward, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Then I dealt, like you, then I dealt with it. You think about it a little
Yeah.
bit, but once you commit, there's something about committing.
Yeah.
You go beyond the fear and you slowly start to stretch yourself outside the comfort zone. And a while ago, somebody actually taught me a really good tool to start pushing myself. And that was write a list of all the procrastination list, the list of things you procrastinate about. And the moment you've written it, go and do one of the things on the list, and then start driving the others through.
Yeah.
As you're doing that, you get energized because the burdens that are in your head have gone. You start to build momentum, and once you see yourself doing that, actually the bigger things don't seem so bad anymore.
Yeah.
I found that sometimes when I just start something, then everything else just comes itself. Like I figure it out as I go, and sometimes you don't have to analyze or plan everything out because you don't know it in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
And once you get started, I think I found it easier that you can just figure it out on the way. But it was so interesting what you were talking about before, that some people say that you have to have certain qualifications and things like that. I was always so open-minded about these things. Like in Hungary, mainly employers, they are very rigid about certain things, and they wouldn't give you opportunities if you don't have certain certifications, even though you can demonstrate that you have those skills to do the job. And what I found here in England, that people tend to give you the opportunities more.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I really didn't like when I lived in Hungary, that people are just so rigid in their ways, and they don't know that they can actually change things, or they are self-sabotaging themselves. And it's just crazy that like you bring up a new idea or you are being creative about it, and people would tell you that no, you can't do that, that's not the norm, or like.
When I got my first job as a marketing director, I don't have a degree in marketing, I did psychology at university. And when I got my first job as a marketing director, my father called me to say, did you lie to them? Did you tell them you had a degree in marketing? Did I lie? No. I just said, and I was in England, I said, I can do this job. Give me 3 months. If I can do it, I can do it. If I can't do it, you fire me, and we're fine. Isn't it? And I could do it. So
I think it's lucky when
but in Italy,
come across.
this would never have happened. No one would give you the job.
The place where we're from, where we were, So our CEO is just, and actually I'd say the whole board, they're another level of go for it. So it's not all judged on qualifications and all this kind of stuff. It's judged on merit. So if you show that you're a hard worker, opportunities will come. And so the growth and the promotions and the positivity and the high morale and all that kind of stuff in our business where we work, I've never experienced a place like it as far as energy and stuff goes, because giving people opportunities and allowing for people to demonstrate what they're capable of without scrutinising qualification and scrutinising, that side of things, it's unbelievable what can come. I mean, it really is the morale and the boost and the positivity of it all. But I think that comes from the people who are brave enough to take a chance. Yeah. So it's not just us, it's like the people who say to you, oh, go on then, I'm going to come out of my comfort zone now and I'm going to go, yeah, go for it. Do it, and the magic happens, do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of unconditional biases, again, something we've been discussing recently, where there's a perception that you might need the qualification or that you have to behave in a particular way. And I think we as women are quite guilty in absorbing those perceptions and putting ourselves in that negative space that we lose belief in ourselves. So an article I read a few months back was saying that when men apply for a job, they may only have 60% of what the job requirement is, and they'll apply anyway, but they're so confident and have the belief, because they've been growing up to believe in themselves in that way, that they will go and they will get the job because they can persuade someone to take them on. Whereas women will only apply for a job, predominantly, that's not true of everybody, but the general trend is when they have 100% the required skill. Exactly. And then there's also an unconditional bias from recruiters within organisations that if women don't have the full 100% capability, they're less likely to be able to do the job. And they put that down to the fact that women don't present themselves in a positive way. And I think there's something about building self-esteem and believing in yourself, and actually it's putting yourself outside your comfort zone but recognising you're good enough. Yeah.
You have to improve your mindset and then you can become entirely adaptable. I totally believe in that.
Master your mindset. Okay, so before we close the circle, let's all go around and give a tip to anyone watching at home on how they can approach leaving their comfort zone. Okay, so we'll start with you, B. So if you were going to give someone a tip for doing it and going for it, what would that be from your perspective?
Just believe in yourself and encourage yourself always with everything, because it doesn't matter what it is, what you want to do. If you believe in yourself, you can figure it out on the way, and you can always get surrounded by positive people who can cheer you along the way and support you, and that's another one that I would say very important. Sorry.
No, I agree. And so like-minded people.
Second thing as well, but I found that extremely useful and essential, that because I used to surround myself almost with anyone, and I didn't realize how much they can sabotage your motivation and ideas that you would like to achieve. So it's very important to surround yourself with positive people.
So believe in yourself and surround yourself with the right people, like-minded people. Maria?
Okay, what can I say? I would say actually, as people, we probably can't control the length of our life, but what we can control is the breadth and the depth of it. And in order to get the full benefit out of your life, just jump in there. You're not going to die by trying something new. You might feel a little bit insecure, but just realise actually it's a moment in time, and beyond it, there's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Absolutely, I love that. Francesca?
I would say that it takes just one step, because it does, and if I have to go from me to you, that might be 10 steps, but if I take one, that's easy,
Yeah.
and then I take another one, and it's easy. But if I look at it as if
Oh,
now I have to
can't
jump
do it,
the
yeah.
length of 10 steps, I can't do it. But if you break it down, it's one step,
Yeah.
and then one step, and then one step. I do that 10 times, I'm there.
Yeah.
So break it down in achievable little steps.
Yeah, I love that. Very important as well. I think mine would be focus in the right place. So don't focus on, this big mammoth task. Focus on your why. Focus on why you want to do this and what it is you're trying to achieve. As soon as you focus on them, it should shift your attention away from, all the things that could potentially go wrong, which probably won't anyway.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So focus in the right direction. Be focused forward. Don't look down. Focus forward, and what is it we're trying to get to? That's your why. That's your goal. Stay there, and that'll get you out.
Even if it goes wrong, there is always a way. So
Exactly. What if it goes wrong? Are we going to learn something? Well,
Yeah.
then
That's how you
brilliant.
grow.
Yeah.
Believe you will handle it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That is it. Okay, so I'm going to close the circle there for this week. Next week we will be talking about to have children or not to have children, and whose business is it anyway. I'm going to close the circle for this week. See you next week.